All right, teammates. We are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the show. Welcome to the number one show on innovative teamwork. Great to have you. Thank whoever brought you here. Looking forward to having you back for more. To my regular listeners, here we go again. You know, I'm known to bring you some heavy hitters, some gems of people that absolutely just bring it. It's organic. We keep it raw. We keep it uncut. We keep it as unfiltered as humanly possible. All right. So today, we have a gentleman who, you know, is very much like very simple, has a lot of synergy when it comes to what I do. Really dedicated to fitness, dedicated to making sure they record themselves and, you know, constantly give motivation, affirmations, and just staying positive. And the subtle difference though is he actually has 5 kids, and if I'm not mistaken, is currently going through a divorce as we
Yes.
speak. And I gotta actually, well, his name is Deshaun Jackson. Welcome to the show and all that. But you know, I think we just got to start off. You know, we'll start off right there, man. You know, most people in your situation go away from the camera. Most people in your situation don't look at
Mm,
it. You know, hey, look, got 5 kids, going through a divorce, and let me just kind of be low key now. Let me just kind of, you know, get myself straight. But you've taken a completely different approach, and I cannot wait to dive into how you develop that mindset to where, hell no, I'm gonna actually record all of this and become a lifestyle coach and help people. So, you know, walk us through your journey, man. You know, the floor is yours. I'll give you the slate to kind of open it a little bit, and you know, we'll go from there. And by the
let
way,
me,
diehard Michigan fan, go blue. We're going back to
oh,
back this year.
absolutely.
You can book it. So go ahead.
So let me drop a gem real fast and I'll back up. So
Mm-hmm.
my lifestyle coach, Wes Watson, always hit me with, you have to be authentic. And so one time I was talking with him and he said, "What's my wife's name?" And I knew it. He said, "What's my daughter's name?" And I knew it. He said, "What's my other daughter's name?" And I knew it. He said, "People have to know you. They have to know the authentic you. Nobody's going to buy into you, your program, your ideas, and they don't know who you are. Whether the perception is things are going bad, whether the perception things are going good, you have to show people the authentic you." And that's
Yes.
what you were talking about, is that leaning in. Like, I'm not authentic if I only show you things are going good. Fuck
Yes.
that. Life happens. Life
Yes.
happens to me. Life happens to you. So I'm just
Right.
bringing this picture. It's just me.
Right. No, I too have a mentor, coach, and he has a saying that I really agree with that has really stuck with me over the years. He says, "No one actually rises to the occasion. We all fall to our level of preparation." Right. So
I
when
like
you
it.
look at your situation, you know there had to be things, and I'm assuming now that there were things the way you grew up, based on how your mindset, how you were wired from a young person, to where you are faced with these challenges to make it so you're falling to your level of preparation. You're falling to just what you were all about from the beginning. So, you know, give us a little bit about your background. How'd you grow up? What was school like? You know, and I believe you're still a nurse that still pays the bills and things like
Absolutely.
that. So, you know, feel free to kind of go in. We don't have time limits here. So, you know, do your
Right.
thing.
So long story short, I grew up in Mount Morris, Michigan area. Um, Traditionally, at the time I was growing up in 80s, 90s, I was one of the few black kids that lived in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that kind of always shaping my experiences. And So my mom was single mother raising me. Then I had my godparents who stepped in and helped while my mom was struggling. And I had these two households that I could swap back and forth. And it really gave me a unique image on life because my godparents are white and my mom was black. So I always were able to cross into both worlds, and it
Mm-hmm.
really helped shape me. Going into,
Well, I hate to pause you there, but
yeah,
I want to make sure we emphasize that there. So much of what he just said is important. All right. When you're developing your whole self, and I say this all the time, it's not a black problem, not a white problem. We are a human race. We are the people together.
absolutely.
Great Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "It's no black race, white race. We are all the human race. We are all human, and we all want to be loved. We all want to be happy, and we all work together." What we have now, especially because I know you're a sports fan, what we have now in our national media is we try to push these narratives. We try to push these black versus white. We try to push a lot of things
I got
that
you.
makes it so we are separated. All right. I just had to make that point because as I'm hearing you talk, I'm realizing how much of a whole person you developed into. So, and that's, by the way, that happens on the show quite a bit. When you start hitting those points. I gotta make sure I cut you on so the listeners catch that because you might be listening. Somebody might be listening, like, wait, did he just catch that? So go ahead, The floor is yours.
I can tie it right back to you. We're one consciousness. We're
Yeah.
one consciousness. And that's what Martin Luther King was talking about. We
Mhm.
try to create these separate divides to label us, to try to, it creates division. But in
Mhm.
reality, if I'm struggling, somebody else is struggling. When
Yeah.
I'm doing well, somebody else is doing well. We're
Right.
one conscious. I don't care what your grief and loss. We all have people that die in our life. We all go through relationship breakups. We
Mhm.
all go through disease. We all go through that same. It's different people, same struggle.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, but anyway, you were talking about your background a little bit.
Yeah, so let me jump back. Going through high school, went to a Catholic high school, and that had a really big impact. Powers Catholic is a local Catholic high school here.
Mhm.
Um, kind of shaped religion for me, growing up with religion from my mom in a traditionally black church, and then hitting a Catholic religion, trying to meld these into this young black male individual in life was conflicting at times.
Was
My
it
father,
were you recruited to the school?
nope,
Or
nope, nope, just um, you have to pay to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, no
Yeah, I went
recruit.
to I went to a similar, but I was recruited for football, and I had a very similar experiences to what you're talking about, being the only black kid in the class. The thing is, with my parents, they never forced religion on me. So these, like, when I was around the Bible, when I was around this Catholic school, this was the first time in my life that I was even being introduced to religion. And as I've
Uh,
grown up, I realized, hey, I'm against religion, but I'm for the word. I'm against, people clicking up. I'm against people like making you feel like you have to be a certain way, but I'm for doing the right thing. I'm for morals. I'm for actual the word of God. So that's a very powerful point you made, because when you're talking about the Christian values and you're trying to compare what they're teaching in the Catholic school, especially as an impressionable high school kid, now that becomes a very conflicting thing. So anyway, again, the floor is
I
yours.
can even give you the perfect example.
Yeah.
So my father committed suicide when I was one.
Oh
But
my
all
God.
of a sudden, when I hit teenager and I hit a Catholic high school, I found out that you don't get absolved of sin for suicide. So all of a sudden, I'm wrestling with this whole suicide of my
Oh my
dad my whole
God.
life, and then I hit this religion, and it's like, oh shit! It's a whole nother. It threw me for a whole nother loop and dynamic because I didn't realize I was struggling not having a dad. Now, don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
had my godfather in my life, but my physical father, there
Right.
were times they would show up, and that was one dynamic that I can directly tie into
Oh
what
my
you were
gosh.
talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, you're right. That's very tough. I mean, that again, and this is why I make sure I show as much respect as possible to people's religious beliefs. But for me, again, that when you get to a point where you get clicky and you get to a point where you start judging people and making it so you start acting like you're too good to interact with people, that's when things become a huge issue. So that's an important aspect again, also for you listeners, because I know a lot of business owners listen to the show, is when you bring people into your organization, it's just as important. All right, make sure they feel welcome, make sure they feel heard, make sure you never get to a point where you're making people feel like they're on the outside looking in, because you don't know what someone is struggling. Same way that Deshaun just, I mean, again, whoever told you that about suicide, I'm sure didn't know, hey, I'm talking to a young man whose father committed suicide, and all of a sudden I'm throwing him for a loop. So many teachers out there are so out of touch when it comes to that. They're just spitting off what they read in some textbooks. So kudos to you for getting through that.
And I can even tell you. So
Mm.
the way I say it is, I don't need the dogma, but give me the spirituality.
Yeah,
Like I can praise God for who I don't care who your God is. It's that who you praise is irrelevant to me. You can for me, I can praise God any my home, outside, any. I don't necessarily have to go to a scripted place at a scripted time to do
mhm.
it with people doing the same scripted thing.
Exactly. It's a conversation with God. So
Yeah. So let me jump
yeah, go
back.
ahead.
Um, so I got married at a young age. My first wife had two children, my son and my daughter, and Raja and Zion. Bring me
So
some
this was
stroke.
right after high school.
Not long after, so early 20s, ended
Mhm.
up moving to Holland, Michigan. And as I look back now, 44, looking back, fuck all. You didn't know shit. You're trying life. You're doing things you think you know, but you want, and no, not you, me. I wanted a marriage and I wanted to fuck around at the same damn time.
Mm-hmm.
And you think you can have both due to immaturity, lack of wisdom, and clarity. And what I've learned is now in this time in life, you pay for it in karma debt. And that was a painful lesson. So had to
Right.
start over. Children ended up moving to Arizona, started a long, lengthy court battle. So I found through that time, I struggled to find myself and who I was.
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of got back on my feet early 30s. Met my second wife, Rachel, and actually thought I was on to something. We did well. Um, so I try to say when I talk about people, I'm never talking about them to put them down, to
Mm-hmm.
belittle them, or to make put myself on a pedestal. What I'm talking about are factual events and how I dealt with them in the situation.
Right.
So I just need to preface that. I dealt with my marriage. My second marriage was alcoholism. She was an alcoholic and she struggled and trying to find the love for that and find us and deal with. And that stretched me as far as my first time really experiencing love. Um, no children together,
Mm-hmm.
blended marriage of my two kids and her two kids. And uh, Towards the end of that marriage, when everything was going, I met my next daughter's mom, and
Mm-hmm.
it was how do people describe it? Their hoe phase. They are out wanting to date again,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to refine themselves and who they are, and in meeting her and going out. We have my daughter Azalia, beautiful,
Right.
and I think I hit a point in life in those 30s where I settled down, but I didn't know who I was, what I wanted to be. So I went to school to mock college, became a physical therapy assistant, and thought I was onto something. And it didn't. Okay, when I look back now, what I was trying to do, I was trying to use education and career to fill a void in myself
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know what it was, but I was trying to use that to fill it.
Right.
And it worked for a little bit. It kept me busy, but it
Mm-hmm.
didn't fill the void.
Right.
um Divorced, or excuse me, I'd been single, met my current wife.
Mm-hmm.
And let me again preface, I would not be where I'm at today. I would not have both my physical therapy assistant and my nursing career. I would not be the man who I am without her help.
Right.
And I always want to preface that. When I became a physical therapy assistant, when we first met, I finally felt whole and
Yeah.
complete. And let me preface, 'cause I don't want to sound like this is, um, I think at the time the marriage helped fill me, even though I didn't have something for myself. I had somebody else who I can invest my time in, and us doing to each other.
Right.
But that personal goal drive for self, I still was lacking it. So I went back to school to be a nurse.
Right.
Let me jump around a little to trigger that. My godmother passed away 2018, critical to me. She was my mom. Um, this woman brought me home from the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
filled out my baby books.
Mm-hmm.
And when she passed, and I had a situation as a physical therapy assistant in a hospital where I was basically told to stay in my lane, I decided to go back to school, U of M, go blue, for nursing. I wanted to increase my scope. Again, I was trying to fill a void that I thought
Right.
I was, and it worked. Through COVID, it was difficult. I was one of the only Black men during that time in the
Mm-hmm.
program at U of M in a predominantly female dominated profession, a non traditional student. My confidence soared after graduation. I thought I was going to, I can stop if you look like you was going to stop me.
No, I want you to keep going because I mean, there's a lot I want to unpack with what you're saying, but I want to let you get it off your chest.
Mhm. Let me rock out.
Yeah.
So graduated U of M, godmother passed away, godfather, my father passed away. So these losses are propelling me, and I feel like I have a drive, but again, it's not for self.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm condensing 5 years that me and my wife dated, and then 5 years of marriage. S- During those 10 years, it's the best 10 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never talk bad about it.
Hmm.
Um, but then the last two,
Right.
we decided to get into the lifestyle.
Hmm.
And in making that decision, it opened some doors. And let me be clear, because I feel like when I say that, people make the assumption, or in my opinion, people tend to think that when people are in the lifestyle, there's this judgment about them. However you want to look, whether they're heathens or they can't keep relationships, or I feel like there's just this, and I disagree completely. I don't care whether you are a monogamous marriage or you are in a marriage of three. Marriage is defined however you make it. And I have seen beautiful couples in the lifestyle continue to stay in it. I have seen beautiful couples, monogamous, continue to stay in it. I have seen marriages in the lifestyle who get divorced. I have seen monogamous marriages and get divorced. What makes marriage imperfect are the people. It's not the institution. The institution, in theory, is great. It's the people that get into it that are imperfect.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to preface that, and that journey through tested us, and it brought me to you opening up where I'm currently now, getting a divorce. It partly is pushing the drive to start the lifestyle coaching. And I finally found through the personal brand and lifestyle coaching what I had been searching for 20 fucking years,
Hmm.
something for self.
Right.
This process of the lifestyle, the daily habits saved me, took me off the fucking floor.
Right.
So
So, well, first of all, I have to commend you for your transparency. I really do. I mean, so many situations where us as men, we don't open up enough, particularly us as black men, we don't open up enough to where we say, look, certain things hurt me, certain things I'm vulnerable about, certain things I need your help. I'm going through some shit and I need some assistance. We as men need to come together and stop fighting each other so much. And I can clearly see through your passion and everything you're talking about how much your heart you wear on your sleeve. And that leads me to the question I have though is when we're talking about marriage, all right, and particularly us, we don't come up, and I'm not sure how you grew up, but we don't come up in a situation where marriage is necessarily cool. We come up in a situation where you have to actually be married to someone to be wifed up, booed up. Like it's accepted that we are living with someone before we get married. It's accepted, and this is something that I've learned the hard way myself. It's kind of accepted that we shack up with people and we kind of just okay, that's because my parents did it, because someone did it. I'm just going to accept that we have kids out of wedlock. We forget about how much a kid needs to see their parents in the household and
yeah,
grow, things like that. So when it comes to all of the situations you've been a part of, how much do you attribute if you actually trying to be a better man, you actually trying to do the right thing? And so much of that, because and the reason I get so passionate about this when I talk about it is because too often do we look at a person like who's been in your situation and say, oh, that guy ain't shit. When you think about it, he tried to be married, unlike so many other brothers out there who are shacking up, who are not doing the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing. So few of us out there trying to do the right thing is when you start trying to do the right thing, all of a sudden now there's problems because it's not the norm and things like that. So what about that concept? What about that idea of, hey, look, I was trying to do the right thing, whether it was with my first wife, my second wife. I mean, I have never heard, listen to me, Deshaun. I done been in a lot of situations. I done heard a lot of people on the show. Ain't nobody has spoken so highly about the wife that they're currently divorcing
oh
ever,
yeah.
as well as you just said, as well as you articulated, and there's something strong to be said about that. So speak on that, like the kind of the concept of just trying to do the right thing. Hopefully you can help a lot of young brothers out there now who I know are struggling with relationships because we don't know. We weren't taught this. I tell people all the time, I've been to two weddings in my entire life, and those two weddings are not, they're not, but the couples aren't together. I've been to more funerals than weddings. To the point
Right,
where
yeah.
I just turned 35 this year, and I've yet to attend a wedding. So you can be helping me out with this as well. So the floor is yours.
Let me back up slightly. So growing up, my godparents and a good, really good friend of mine, Rusty, his parents, they set the tone for me growing up. I didn't have, okay, so my godparents, obviously I grew up with them, but Rusty's parents, he's a really good friend, so I didn't see them all the time. But one thing I learned after watching both of these marriages was that one of the pair, whether it was the husband or wife or both of them had to have, they went through situations where somebody had to forgive somebody for
Yeah.
some situation. I don't care what it
Right.
was. You don't make it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years without saying, you know what, fuck it. Either I forgive you, I'm not dealing, whatever the case. And the fact of the matter is, for me, in my mind, for a marriage to be successful, you have to get to that point. The marriages that I have looked up into ideal, I never looked at them because they struggled. I looked at them because they made it. And
Mhm.
I know at some point in marriages, when I see old people walking together,
Mhm.
I'm like, somebody had forgiveness, somebody had love, somebody cared, because everybody's got problems. So that kind of set the seed for me in my
Right.
attempts to get married.
Mhm.
So I think I know what I wanted, but in the first two, I didn't know how to act. In
Right.
this last one, I do feel it was different, because we went so long and then we introduced a new factor, and that um, ultimately led us to where we're at now.
Mhm. And I want to make sure I'm re-emphasizing for you listeners what he said, the forgiveness component. I have a teacher colleague now who said the exact same thing that you just said, and she said to me directly, "We almost got a divorce, but there was forgiveness. There was an aspect of I got to look at you in the eye. There's a bond, and this is one thing I've learned about relationships and two people. We're never going to know what two people say to each other, the truth between two people. You can speculate all you want. You can pretend you know everything all you want.
Yes.
Give your fucking opinion, and everyone's going to have them. I get it. But two people have a connection that you will never, ever know about. And you have to understand that. You have to understand that life is messy. It's a lot of forgiveness. There's a lot of twists and turns that go when it comes to that. And I do want to make sure we get into now. And again, this is something you're currently going through. Where is it now? Do you say, okay, now I'm going to be a lifestyle coach. Now I'm going to be able to have the strength to go out and tell other people who are going through the same thing? Because again, everything you're talking about is not uncommon to a lot of people, whether it's men going through this, women going through this. There's so many people going through it. Where do you find the courage to even, speak about this as openly and as frequently as you do?
Uh, if so, again, I got a backup preface.
Mhm.
My coach in teaching that authenticity, I knew this was what I wanted to do. And I've never had a problem being authentic, but it was what I noticed is what we try to do is we try to limit how much we tell the truth. I want to
Yeah.
tell you just so much not to upset you. Well, is that telling the truth, or is that you using your ego to shade how you feel
Mhm.
about it? So
The
I
narrative.
find that it's this fine line we try to draw versus accepting that if I tell them the truth, they might not like it. And you can't control that response. And
Right.
that's the authenticity, is that you have to be able to say your truth and understand you have no control over anybody else's response, how they feel about it, what they're going to say. In fact, they're going to do that anyway, irregardless.
Hmm.
And I can simplify it. They're either have an opinion that this is something going to be good and work out, or it's a train wreck. Either or, they got an opinion about it. So that has influenced me to finally let go of the inhibitions.
Hmm.
If this is what you want to do, you have to be authentic. And that comes with, you're going to show them the ups, you're going to show them the downs, you're going to show them when you plateaued, you're going to show them everything, because this is you.
Hmm. And I think it's important that we also mention too that your kids are going to appreciate that. All right, your kids, and this is me speaking as a son now. When you're able to look up, and again, because the relationship has been so fractured in the past, and they don't have it in the home, but when they're able to see, hey, I'm going to pull out one of these. That's my father actually being authentic, being honest, not bashing women, not doing things that so many other men would do. Now you're doing your part again, and this is not just me speaking to you, but speaking to multiple fathers who've made mistakes and have children that they wish they could get certain times back with. Is look, you got to be authentic for them. You got to be authentic so they can pull up different, because they're going to grow up and they're going to have their hardships, they're going to have their whatever it is they got to go through. And if they could pull out their phone and say, hey, I ain't about that, now you're doing your part. Yeah, you can't go back with the past, but you can do your part in the future. And that leads me to kind of the next talking point. One of the things that actually made me really want to reach out to you is you're a fitness guy, man.
Oh
you,
yeah.
you put in your work in the gym. So can you just speak on the importance of your body, putting the right things in your body and getting on a regular workout regimen, and how much that correlates with the shit that goes on in your personal life, how much it actually helps you process everything, eating right, making sure you're working out regularly. Can you just kind of let's explain that to people a little? Because me personally, look, I would not be able to get through my day if I don't take a run every single morning. I need it
Well,
just
has to happen. Has to work. Yes.
yeah, like, mentally, I would not be able to do it, man. So go ahead, speak on that a little bit.
To preface, I always grew up in athletics, football, being athletic. So that has stuck with me. And I didn't realize the benefit it had until I got older. So, and I would go through periods in life where I'd stop working out and didn't realize I was having issues then, more problems,
Yeah.
until I finally my coach, this is okay. So I had started working out about 8 to 10 years ago, but got consistent about 6 or 7 when my coach emphasized it daily and how much you need the daily discipline of working out. So it kind of just over repetition because I kept watching, it
Hmm.
stuck. And now I'm like, I realize that you apply the work, you're working out those emotions, you're working out those shitty feelings. Go
Yeah.
to the gym, go run, do what you need to do. And for me personally, I never make a major decision without working out or playing volleyball because I know I get a release of serotonin and dopamine, and I'm going to look at whatever the problem is in a different light
Mhm.
after versus before. So
Right.
it is absolutely crucial and essential that I do it every day because it gives me a 2 to 3 hour gap in time where I'm in flow state. My problems don't exist.
Hmm.
I'm working my body, my mind. Like it's not just a workout. I don't know where people get that concept. It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything. It's everything. And it gives you the clarity, and what it has done for me over the years. It's given me the clarity of the people I want to work with. Again, I have a very unique name. I'm very easy to dismiss me. I've been brushed over quite a bit. And that concept has helped me so much to build this and build the business I'm doing, build the things I'm doing now. Because I don't have the problems that a lot of people have where I'm getting distracted with folks that really don't give a shit. I know from jump who is going to be in my life, who's going to actually be the people that I can follow up with, that I can go to for advice. And as I run, I work out those feelings and I work out those things every single day. And I got to ask you, is there a person out there? Is there an ideal client for you, an ideal person that if they're listening now that you would want to work with? Because I could already tell you, I know who ain't gonna work with you. I know the people that are into excuses and all that other bullshit. You might as well go ahead and keep it moving. Don't even bother reaching out to you. But somebody like you, is there somebody like an ideal client that you would love to work with in terms of what you're doing now?
Actually,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so in working with mental health, I
Mm-hmm.
work with youth in between the ages of 13 to 17 and adults from 18 to 70. They all got excuses. Every day they come in with excuses. Some new, some old, some the same ones they've been with. I want them. I want them all. I want you with every excuse because the greater the excuse, the greater the victory. So bring it. I want every barrier you got because I'm going to tell you
Wow.
it don't matter. Everything you give me, it shouldn't stop you. You're not
Wow.
the only one. You aren't a person on an island. So I feel like in some instances, some trainers or the concept is they've reviewed as whiny or problematic or we all are stuck in a mindset. If I'm able to dig the person out of the deeper rut, that's a greater victory. So I bring them. Now, do I want the person that has an idea, has been consistent somewhat in the gym? That person's a little easier to work with, but
Right.
life hasn't been easy for me.
Right.
I've struggled,
Mhm.
and it's in that struggle. And so I can tie this. Let me jump ahead slightly. In
Yeah.
this
Good.
new organization that I'm working with, we're going into the Flint jail to work with Sheriff Swanson's Ignite program and
Really.
work with some. So I don't care whether you're mental health adult, mental health youth, you've been in the Genesee County Jail, you're a pro. Bring it. Let's
Good.
go. You got dreams, you got goals. Let's do this.
So, all right, so let's kind of put the scenario out there. When somebody approaches you and you can see that they're stuck in a mindset that that's become a habit for them. It's become a situation where they're so filled with excuses. Well, I don't got time for this. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do this. I'm stuck. They have it all. what's the initial thing that you say to them? How do you break that pattern of them constantly making excuses? What are some of the tactics that you employ?
First, we're going to talk about your habit, your goals, your
Mm-hmm.
nutrition. We're going to keep it basic at first because you're going to throw everything you have at me, why you don't want to, why you can't, why you got injured 10 years ago and it don't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to keep it very basic. And
Right.
at very basic, 2 plus 2, you can't tell me you can't do it. So if I keep it basic with you in the beginning, you can't give me no excuses. Now, as we get a little more advanced, maybe your excuse might have some validity. We're
Mhm.
still going to work around it because we can modify anything. So
Right.
when you tell me you can't do a squat, well, that's fine. Sit down in the chair and stand up. You've done that before. You've already done it before. You called me to get a hold of me. So when we get to these excuses, you're not the first person. You think you're the first person to tell me that you can't because of?
Right.
No. So it would be one thing if maybe I've never heard it before,
Mm-hmm.
but there's not an excuse on this planet that you can tell me why you can't. As a physical therapy assistant, a nurse, having a gym background, athletics, working with mindset training with patients that come in every day with self-limiting beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it.
Right. So
We do it.
is there like a way, do you offer personal training? Do you offer sessions like for lifestyle coaching? Just kind of speak to us about what your services are actually offered, what services you actually offer. Because again, now you just convince you taught me something now. You can actually serve the person that you actually did just convince him. You can serve the person that is filled with a bunch of fucking excuses. I mean, you're that's something that, and again, I'll make the point, that's something that not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people decide I'm going to serve that person who makes a bunch of excuses. I've been in fitness a long, long time. There's a lot of trainers who after a while, they just say, look, I want to work with clients that are coachable. I want to work with the people that already have it together and we can rock out because they save themselves headaches. But you're coming from a different place. You're coming from a place where it's clearly not just about the money, but it's more about making lives better, changing lives. And a lot of personal trainers get away from that. A lot of lifestyle coaches, they get away from that. It's, hey, that person can pay me, I'm rolling with them. Forget the people. I ain't even in that world. So
So the people that decide, I don't care whether you give me 100 self-limiting beliefs or you've kind of been working out, you have a little idea about nutrition. The person that decides to invest into is
mm-hmm.
bought in. So the minute you're bought in, you can decide to fuck off if you want to, but you've
Mm-hmm.
already paid. Now you don't have any excuses.
Right,
So
right.
both these individuals, what's preventing them is the buy-in. You ain't going to get no results sitting on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So both of these individuals have to decide they're in the buy-in, and then from there we'll work that out. But I separate my programs into two tiers. The elite mindset is for you're deciding that you want to change your life and you don't like the direction it's going, and we're going to take you to another level.
Mm-hmm.
This gets one of the options is a 60-minute Zoom call we throw in.
Right.
It gets the lifestyle, mindset, exercise, nutrition. You get with a team of people that help and push you. Personalized training app, macro nutrition through my Fitness Pal. We do it all. We make sure that, just like you said, whatever excuses you have, they're not valid anymore.
Right.
Now, the second tier is someone that just wants to come in and maybe they want to do a little bit of fitness. They have some struggles in the gym and they're not sure how to weigh their food. They're not sure what fats are. So that program is tiered a little lower for those patients or for those clients, patients, clients, nursing, and
Pretty much
for
the
those
same thing.
clients that
Right.
want to come in and don't want to do the elite mindset. So I
Mhm.
try to make sure I have options.
I got you. I got you. Now, what would you say is the best way to get in touch with you and things like that if people want to reach out?
DM me on Instagram. It is me you're talking to. When you DM me, we're going to talk about your goals, habits, nutrition, your lifestyle. We're going to get on the phone. We're going to talk about the program, get you right,
Mm-hmm.
change your life.
All right. Now, can you kind of also talk a little bit about I know you already mentioned going into prisons and helping some people out in Flint, but can you just kind of speak a little bit about what's next for the company and what the big plans are and things like that? Where do you kind of see this business going in the next 5 to 10 years? Or the vision would be?
So, where this is mapped out to be daily, the actions I'm taking for the 5 year me
Mm-hmm.
has me transitioning in that 5 years. Well, staying here in Michigan as my two youngest get ready to graduate, but
Mm-hmm.
during that time, transitioning out of nursing into full time lifestyle coaching,
Wow.
being able to take this now anywhere. I'm not limited by the nursing license in Michigan. We've now taken lifestyle coaching down south. We're all over. So I plan on it's just like a baby. And the
Yeah,
newborn in its first 3 months
yeah,
don't look anything like it is 5 years from now. So
exactly.
I feel like in that initial, this is where people stop. They don't keep the inertia to get off the ground because they keep falling, they keep falling. A
Yeah.
baby doesn't give a shit if it falls. It gets no baby stops walking and decides to scoot its butt along the ground. They get back up
And they
and
roll,
yeah,
they figure it
they
out, right?
they roll and figure it out. Yeah.
They roll,
So
they figure that shit out, man.
yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna
Well,
do. We're gonna grow this.
this is an incredible concept, and me personally, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how you've grown. I mean, I've had tons of people on the show, but when it comes to being able to be transparent, when it comes to being able to be open, especially if you're listening in, this is not something that's common amongst people, and I strongly, strongly recommend even if you don't reach out to Deshaun specifically, when you bring people in your life, they have got to represent a level of authenticity for you, because that's the only way you're going to grow. You're not going to grow by staying in your comfort zone. You are only going to grow by getting people around you that push and push and push you like a motherfucker out of your comfort zone. And then eventually you'll be successful. So with all that, I do have to, I want to get you the way here's how I close out all my shows, Deshaun, is I want you to use your imagination a little bit. You are back in high school, you're sort of going through it. You have that high school frame of mind. You're about to get married. You're not sure if it's going to work out. You're just that young high school boy that's impressionable. I want you to pretend that young man has come into the Zoom room. Just give him some words of encouragement, and we'll officially close.
All those years ago, Deshaun, you didn't have your mind right. You were struggling and fighting with your brain, and you had no idea about direction. You knew kind of, but mindset training. You had ideas of what you wanted to do, and you didn't stick to it because of daily discipline. Listen, get your ass in the gym, find a mentor, find a coach who is doing what you want to do, emulate what you want to do, and you have to watch what you put in your mouth. Your nutrition is paramount.
Mm-hmm.
You have some of these tools already, but you didn't know how to focus them. Get your shit together.
Man, get your shit together. We could officially drop the mic with that. Appreciate you coming on, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep kicking ass, man. I look forward to keeping up with your journey and all that stuff as well. Fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.
Have a great day.